We back with another episode of Untold Sports Stories with Gerardo Byrne. I got Coach Mata, Phillip Mata. I call him an OG of Lompoc. He's been one of the main youth coaches for our youngsters in all sports that we see in Lompoc, referee, and just a great mentor to a lot of kids from the town that we come from. What's up, Coach?
Hey, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Glad to be part of this, man.
I appreciate that. First off, starting off with a great day, my man Joe Biden comes
Wow,
through. uh,
boy, it started to look like the Heat and Laker game there for a minute. It was getting
man,
tight, and then it was like fourth quarter action. It's crunch time, and they just
right?
pulled away.
But man, as I said, one of the OGs of Lompoc, just a great mentor. He mentored me, mentored a lot of the guys I grew up with, and is still mentoring kids today. Man, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you said, I've been in this town ever since I've been born in this town, man, and I got into youth sports, got into really coaching. Went to played youth sports all through Lompoc. My dad was my coach. So I had a lot of great coaches that were in this town that were just part of the community that gave back to the community kids. And it was like the kids first, kids first, kids first. And it's just something that was instilled in me. I had three older siblings. So they're all like 5 to 10 years separation from me. So they're all in sports. So everywhere they went, to LGSA, to Babe Ruth baseball, to boys club, to, well, back then it was like rec league, from
Right,
the city rec league. And it's just from there, played football myself, baseball, basketball after graduation, fooled around. That was my first year of coaching youth sports, but I was young, 18 years old, and I was more having fun with the kids than trying to teach them anything. I was just trying to teach them little stuff, but I was out there being young and not really being focused of what I was really doing, what the bigger picture might be. And then did my own thing, worked, stayed around the community a little bit. Then I started to pick up umpiring when I was just kicking it next to an adult league baseball game. They were like, "Hey, throw some gear. We have no umpire. You want to umpire?" Threw it on, made $60. Before I know it, I was there every Sunday, and that was like 2003, 2002, maybe. Yeah. So I started baseball first, but then once I did that, I saw that, hey, yeah, there's a little money into it, but it just picked up from baseball from that point, from 2003, I think, 2002, somewhere in there. And I just rode with it ever since. And then I've been doing it ever since. And like for the past 15 years, I've been doing football, coaching youth football, um, refereeing basketball in between, all the steady, doing adult leagues, keeping it all straight back here to the community, man. And it's like, just seeing everybody grow up in this town and just seeing how it is and just the change. And that's what I wanted to be a part of. So I got a lot of this from my dad. My dad coached for 30 years and doing the same thing, help start at LGSA, you know, the program, get it started up, did a little foundation work for the swimming pool in Lompoc, a lot of work for the football. He was there for 30 years. And it's just something that was just instilled in me. Folks roll
right,
down. It's like the old saying, chip off the old block. And
right.
this is something that I just got a grasp of, bro. But that's a little some. That's what's about me. That's what I do.
And I mean, as we spoke about before we started this, man, the main topic of today is youth sports because there's so much to unpack with that alone. But man, what was your youth experience like?
Starting youth sports because being from the beginning, I just wanted to see what this is all about. Okay, being a coach, you can be a coach. You just show up. Okay, you get there. You're there for 2 hours. You're with the kids, and then, like I said, at the beginning, it was just I was young, so I didn't really know what impact I really have on a kid. But when you ever tell a kid that, man, you're good, or I see potential or something, you never know if that kid really holds on to that word because he's probably never been told that. And I never knew how that was until, getting a little older and mature in my coaching career or whatever. But like, I see how people are just changing the game, not kids, not the kids. It's the people. When I say people, it's adults.
Uh-huh.
And when I started youth, say 15 years ago, for example, we'll just say football for right now. When I started 15 years ago, it was all about that blind side setup block, cleaning
Lord
fools
have
out,
mercy. It
look
was
back.
football.
And it was like, yeah, that was the regular 90s style, from 70s to the 90s style type football era. And the only thing that would change from that era was the holding, the pass interferences.
Yeah, yeah.
That's about it from inside. Can't rap, you got to be inside. But seeing how youth has changed, though, is that I see a lot of programs, and I'm not saying Lompoc particularly, but there's been a lot of programs I'm seeing diminish and fall, and that are hurting because of a disease called daddy ball. And once it infects your program, it spreads,
Uh-huh.
and it can either be neutralized or it could be cancerous to your program. And once it gets cancerous to your program, it's going to reach all levels,
Right.
because if Johnny can do it in that group, then I can do it in my group. And that's how it spreads. And it's not the right way to do it. I grew up in an era, because let's get this straight. I grew up playing football in an era where you have to grind to get your position.
Oh, for sure. That's what I was about to ask you. How, being around you today, compare that to when you were in sports as a youth. The
Just, to,
coaches
just
you had to the coaches you see.
it's, it's like, it's hard comparison to remember. Even when you miss a layup back then, what the hell? Come on, man. That's
Oh,
easy. You got to
yeah.
hit that off the back. Hands off the back. Well, come on. That's all day. That's easy too. Today, sorry, little Johnny.
Yep.
Get
Good
back. We'll
try.
get that one again. We'll
Good
get that
try.
one again. We'll get that job again. Come on, let's go. We'll keep working hard. I understand that motivation, but that talk needs to be in the damn huddle.
Yeah.
Hey man, come on, man. You need to make that, layup. There's sometimes where I learned, and I learned it from back in the day. We used to do these things with youth football, and we used to do this coach from USC. He was a USC line coach, Texas line coach, and he came and did like a clinic with us. And it was so cool because he brought up something that still sticks with me to today. And this is like, dude, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. And he said, the way you talk to your players is there's little Johnnies and then there's Johnnies. And you got to determine who's a little Johnny and who's Johnny. There's somebody that never had their voices raised to them. Like, you can say, what are you doing? And they get clumped up in their shell.
Yeah.
And you've seen it, but now it's like I said, my coaching style is a little rugged. You got to earn your position. You got to earn it. Show me that I don't care what you did last year. I don't care that if you played for me last year, then your only advantage is how I run things.
Uh-huh.
Your advantage isn't, well, I was a starter last year and I played linebacker. I'm going to be a starter this year. That's why I played last year. That has nothing to do with me, because there's little Johnny that's been working hard last year and took his bumps and bruises, and now he's back 1 inch taller, a little faster. You know how it goes, man. And like the hunger I see back in the day was after practice. Now he's going to stay. He's going to shoot a little bit more.
Right.
Or he's going to do this a little. I see it now and then. But then, like, I used to see you guys have talent, and you used to spread it amongst everybody, though. It was a neutralized offense where I just run it with this one guy. You had fortunate you had a great coach during basketball during your youth programs. I tell Glaze this all the time. That he was the only coach that I ever saw youth program in basketball besides, say, like Gibby Chironis, and rest in peace to him.
Right.
Maybe Virgil Cortez. Probably those three guys. Man, they would run set offenses. That you weren't allowed to push the ball up. Mike said, "Why are you pushing the ball up?"
Right.
And you guys just set up, and that's just stuff that you don't see now. Yeah, little Johnny pushed the ball. That's my son. He needs to score 25 points a day. And nah. But like back to saying like coaching wise and getting to these kids is like, you know, the way I got my coaching style is you got to earn your position.
Right.
And nowadays it's hard for kids to understand that.
1,000%. And as you said, when you were coming up, you got to earn what you get. Coaches weren't soft on you. There was definitely, those moments where they pull you to the side, like it was that encouraging stuff. But even when they encourage you, it was kind of like you're on a short leash type of thing. And, when as you said, I was lucky enough to be around my father, who coached me a lot. Um, yeah, my father and even my mother, they were take
Mm.
no prisoners type mentality. I
But
remember, I would say,
they come from that era though that was
yes,
like you ain't gonna get you ain't gonna not be given to you. I've
no,
had great
hell
conversations with you.
no,
I mean I respect your dad. I love your dad because
yeah,
I've had conversations with him to where it's like it's crazy because you can see the change. And I'm like, even basketball, remember that hand checking?
man,
You
yeah,
hand checking there and we
yeah,
bumping, we grinding. I'm gonna ride you with my hips all the way to the hoop if I have to.
right,
Now you put that hand on him when he has the basketball, boop,
foul,
your hand check right there, boom. And it's just
and
like you know how it is. You banging, man. And it's like something that on your chest right now, what you wearing on your chest. Was that Jordan or whatever? And
jump, man.
it's just the whole thing is like that era right there. Everybody's like, oh, there was no 3-point era.
Mm-mm.
What you talking? I took Dan Marley, John Paxton, Steve Kerr. I mean, but back in the day, it's post up, big man, get to the hole, drive, get your points,
Right,
and it's just and how whatever trickles down from the NBA course, MLB or NFL, it's gonna trickle down to the youth,
to the
of course,
kids,
because
yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
want to be like that. But like I say in like baseball, I got a $450 bat, I got my $35 gloves, and I got my mom got me my $52 armbands
stop, man. The only
and
thing I had was cleats,
and you know what I was like, and you can't hit a $4.75 baseball like.
oh, right. I was that player that borrowed everybody's bets.
But it's there's a lot of like right now, I see a lot of coaches that don't get the recognition in this community that they
Yeah,
need to. You know, Dave McNamee. Okay, he's Dave McNamee, Bob Froelich, George Myers, Sugar Bear. Um, there was Bobby Chironis. God, um, there's a lot of great coaches. Bucky Brockett. There's a lot of guys that have been in this town that are just so damn savvy on their sport that they coach. That was just baseball right there.
yeah,
Basketball coach wise, your pops, Mike Glaze, a lot of young coaches there, Gibby, Virgil, all those guys those are guys that have stayed around without having their kids play.
right. And
And
I
they're
tell you
still,
what, Mike Glaze did a lot for me that at the time I didn't even understand. Um, he was the first coach I played for in Lompoc,
mhm.
and the way he helped me grow as a person and as a player. Uh, and we talk to this day, stayed in touch, and he said he did a lot for me, and he became a great friend and a great mentor of mine, who I still, appreciate everything he did for me, and didn't even realize it at the time.
Man, he's still doing it to this day. I mean, it's just how he just puts a work ethic into some people and instills like motivation on different levels. And like you say, like you could be a week away and you remember something that he says, or you could
Right.
be a couple years away and you remember something he says. But that's the feeling that's my paycheck when I get to coach. That's my
Like I
paycheck.
remember, because I played with Glaze the first year, and my next year it was my pops who came in and coached. But I told my dad, I was like, we got to get Glaze on the
Hmm.
staff, and he brought him on. Like,
Yeah, that's a
uh,
yellow team, huh?
yep.
Hmm. Yeah.
uh,
So, and like there's stuff like that. Like I remember stuff like that for coach for doing this for 15. I mean, bro, I know I remember a lot of stuff. I remember, and Doing youth sports, I love it. The only reason why I love it is because, yeah, I'll take my bumps and bruises. Yeah, I'll get yelled at. Yeah, this and that. But I know what I'm doing out there.
Right.
That's the things that I love to do is because I see kids. There's some like, man, it's just like there's stories of kids that I have that, bro, they could have went this way or they could have went that way. And not to get too like personal with some people, but talking to some of these kids is all they needed is just a male,
A male figure, yes.
bro. And it's just like it's so crazy. This is something that I didn't know. I just took for granted. I was just a coach out there. I didn't know I was a mentor until it was like 2 years when I really started to like get into this coaching thing. And I had a player come down from Santa Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a last name that was already like tied to some bullshit here in this town, and he's not even related to this guy, right? And he ended up coming down here, and he was like fighting with his mom. Mom, you don't f me do this. You took me from my friends. F that, f this and that. His mom was like, he's out of control. I don't know what to do with him, to this and that. So we took him aside and talked to him, like, bro, do you know that if you get in trouble and you end up going away, are any of your homeboys gonna come and drop by and say, what up? Are they gonna come by and visit you? Or are they gonna send you some care packages? Or are they gonna do other? Nope. I can tell you that right now. Let's be real about it, bro. They ain't no one gonna come to juvie or no one gonna come, your homeboys gonna come and say, they're gonna wait. Get at me when you get out. But that one person that's gonna call you every day, that's gonna come see you every day, is that woman that's standing right there crying.
Right.
And he just sat there and he just listened. I said, I'm not telling you that she's right on a decision. Maybe she made a decision for you. Maybe right now you don't see that she made the better decision for you and this and that. So long story short, that kid was a outside linebacker for me. He was a stud. He ended up going to Lompoc High School, won those championships, the little run that they had. And I believe you may know him, I think. Now, Andres Guadarrama.
Yep. Guadarrama. I remember him.
Remember, you know what I'm saying? Like,
uh,
he's a beast, dude. Like, and dude, I had him in it. He just moved from Santa Barbara. And like I said, like, you could have gone either way. But to this day, he's a Marine, he's in the military, he's doing his thing. And like, and not saying that I did all that, but his mom stops me, hey, Andres is this and that. He's working over here. And I was like, oh, that's cool, this and that. And just little stuff like that. Maybe I was a little part of him turning that leaf. Maybe Coach G was a part of that turning that leaf. And, you know, that's
but like you
football.
said, it's the power of a male figure. You know, I got so much respect, tremendous amount of respect for single moms and what they do. But you know that there's some things that a mom can't do for a young boy that where that male figure, you know, how many pro athletes who are raised in single mom environments, you know, they
Yeah.
give all credit to the world to their moms, but they also say, you know, I had that coach, that mentor that really molded me and taught me how to become a man.
You
And
know, it's just it's amazing how the power of words can take an
right,
effect over a kid or even an adult. You know, there's sometimes I've been told stuff that like, damn, you know, that's real shit. But like what I loved about coaching, my style was I'm gonna keep it real with you. And I talk this to the parents, you know, and you know, let's get into this coaching thing a little bit with my philosophy
go
is that
ahead.
when you get a team of any sport, you gotta lay your foundation day one. You gotta start day one. If you're gonna be that cracking the whip person, do it day one.
Yep.
Because you do it week two, all your kids are gonna be like, damn, coach is tripping. He lost his damn mind. Like, why is he yelling all of a sudden? Like, what do we do? Nah, from day one, I'm gonna be like this. Get to know me. I'm loud. I want action. When stuff happens, when we say go, we move. We don't walk. And it's just stuff that you got to do from day one. And I've seen many times, and I've seen coaches, matter of fact, I've been next to a coach where I'm like, bro, gotta snap that whip on them, bro. It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
3. They're already in a rotation and a rhythm. Like, oh, here we go. We're gonna do it. Like, nah, hell no. And there's parents that are not used to that.
Right.
But then they come home and Johnny, you have to go to bed. Okay, Mom, I'll go to bed right now. My bed's made too, and I already did my homework. Oh, okay. All right. There's stuff like that. And I've had parents
Yeah.
come and say, man, my son's asleep by 8:30. He'll eat, do his homework, and he's asleep. I'm like, good, I did my job.
Right.
And from day one, you got to get them to where you want them at because they're going to start getting into your program. Let them buy in. You got to buy in. Buy
Yep.
into my program. If you don't buy into my program, it's going to be a hard road for you because I have 28 other kids that are buying into it except for you. Better get it right. I believe in next man up.
Always. Every team always have that mentality.
I mean, if I can't believe if my running back goes down, I can't lose a beat. I got to keep believing in my next man up. So what does that mean? I got to give that guy reps too. Yeah,
But you
he's my
see,
number
that
one.
doesn't always happen. Prime example, dude I live with today, Joseph Osageta.
Oh man,
I know you know what I'm talking about.
man, the potential's so high.
Yes.
The talent, the if you give the kid a chance, you give him an opportunity, and that's the type of kid that's gonna seize that opportunity.
Exactly. And you know what? Our senior year in high school, what happens in the playoff game?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Our quarterback goes down. And I'll tell you this, it shocked all of us on the field that he came in.
but he didn't lose a step.
Didn't lose it at all. And
Does he have a weird arm throwing angle? Yeah.
that's
Can he
from
get
baseball though. Baseball.
but I know exactly. It's that long Russell Wilson type Kyler Murray throwing action, the side action, the long whip action. That's just something that, as a coach, hey, I get to change that, or I can fly. And that's what's wrong with sometimes is, oh, I can't work with this kid. Nah, you just can't coach that kid with his action. You don't know how
But
to
you see,
change it.
that was the thing about that game was why it shocked all of us because you talked about next man up. He
Yeah.
was supposed to be the next man up, and I remember talking to my dad, who watched the game that day. First thing he asked me after that game was, he was like, Joe wasn't the backup quarterback, was he? Like, hell no. Joe didn't take a rep at quarterback that season. He didn't take a rep at quarterback that season. And to go out and do what he did, and I tell him to this day, and obviously we talk about it a lot, we live with each other. The backup quarterback that we had, I felt like when Torrey went down that I don't know if he could have got us through that because I don't think he was properly ready. As a quarterback, when you're a youngster, you get the scout team time. So
Oh yeah.
you're not now you're going to be thrown in to the playoffs, win or go home, and it's the second series of the game, and you haven't seen this type of action. The first thing Joe does when he walks into the huddle is he laughs with us, and I think doing that settled everybody down because everybody was panicking.
And you got to understand what kind of player Joe's been though through all sports.
Right.
That name is that cool Joe. He on a mound. When you got to pitch, it's just a one-on-one thing. It's you and the batter and the catcher, and it's a challenge. And coming into him, I think he just had his mindset that this is going to be a challenge, and it's time to rise to the occasion. And that's what's crazy. Like he has parents. I know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I sit next to his parents during the football games, and I tell him, hey, man, you might keep it down over there, man. trying to watch football games. You need to stop. I know what's going on, but it's just that investing that little bit of time, whether it's your son, whether you're a mentor, whether you're a coach, it's investing the time into that person to show them that you have that potential. And bro, it's just amazing just to tell a kid that, hey, I don't know what's wrong with you because you're in your head, but I see what you can do. Once you get out of your head and figure out the same thing that I'm seeing, we're going to be fine.
Right.
We're going to be fine.
Those are the best type of coaches, going back to, your philosophy. That's also my dad's philosophy. Day one, he established who he is. And like my father is the same philosophy, but he's opposite of you. He's not loud. He's not loud. And he's just.
Oh, he gets loud. He'll get loud.
Well, there's certain players he get loud with, but most times they're not like.
No. I'm talking about when we did. That's a foul. That's a foul. Like, we ain't even gonna do this, man. It's like we got 4 minutes. Just ran off the clock barely. You're already jumping on me. We just got to. This is playoff time. This is playoff time.
Okay, let me rephrase. He was loud with y'all. He wasn't loud with us.
Nah, he was very respectful. I see your dad, and what's crazy is like your dad does that philosophy, that type of, that like I said, that coaching style where, hey, come here.
Yeah, that's him.
He goes, now, why are you working too hard? You're working way hard to get over there to get it when you just need to go here.
Right.
He's giving you that. Take this, and I've seen that. And it's just little stuff. And for me, because I had that football coach mentality, I got to point you out. Okay.
Sure.
I was always told, if I'm going to point you out in front of your peers, okay, because I got to do that, especially if you're my superstar, especially you one of my top players. I got to put you get you down a little bit and put you on level. But I'm going to walk around. I'm going to find you after you do your drill. I'm going to come and find you. I'm going to talk to you and pull you aside. Or you can still be standing in line. And I like football because you have your helmets. And I come behind you. You don't see me, but I come behind you. I'm like, don't turn around. I said, you can hear me, right? He goes, yeah. And I'll talk to him just like this. I was like, you know what to do. The job that I'm asking you to do, you've done it many times. I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know if you're having a bad day, but I need you to work right now. We good? Yeah, all right, coach. All right, man. I don't want to blast you out anymore because I'll do it all damn day. But get your head out. All right, coach. And that's what I do. But see, that's something that I do, me and him.
Right.
I already blasted your ass, though.
Yeah.
In front of everybody. But I'm going to pick you up back on just me and you side.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what I got to do. But if I don't talk to you after I blast you on somebody, then that's a problem.
Right. It's always said, if you stop hearing from your coach, that's when you need to worry. And it took me a while to realize that, I had to evolve to my dad's style. I will say that. I had to evolve to that, man. When I was younger, I ain't gonna lie, I hated him as a coach.
Oh, you were quiet. You're quiet. Your brother, though? Your brother would talk back. Your brother was the one that was talk back.
Yeah.
And, it's two different styles, though. But
sure.
what you just said, though, you said something that damn, I just lost it. You said a philosophy. Okay, there you go. If a coach is yelling at you, it's because he sees the potential that you're not reached yet. When you need to worry about is when the coach stops talking to you. I said, because you know why? I said, because he's wasting his time on you. He's wasting his breath. You ain't never going to change. You ain't never going to conform to what he wants to do because you're going to do your own thing. And another thing in youth sports, like in football, you have to play 12 plays. Like that's what you paid for, and that's what you have to play. Like, yeah, imagine that in high school, man. Like he's going in, number 43. He ain't never. That number's not even a football number, really. It's 43. Who wears 40? But it's just like we get these kids to play, and I don't believe in 12-play players. My whole coaching staff that I coach with, I said, we don't believe in 12 plays. That's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum.
That's me. I'm telling you, because coming the military, coming overseas, They have football. I remember Korea. The rule was you couldn't play contact football until high school. So,
Oh,
like I always loved the sport of football, watching it. But then when I got out there, I'm like, yo, this is much different because I got to YFL when I was in fourth grade, and
yeah.
because I was big, they put me with the big boys, and
Okay.
so yeah, I wasn't ready for that. I'm still trying to figure out how to play football, and so
Okay. So
uh,
what you talk about then is like that's just times have changed. Like so back in the day when you played, it went by exponents, what we called exponents in this league. So it went by your height, your weight,
yeah,
and your age, I believe. But they exponented it out. So like you're only 10 years old, but you weigh like 140.
mm-hmm.
Oh, you're gonna play in J2 or you're gonna play
Yeah,
in J1. And you're like, man, I'm like 10. I'm gonna play with 12 and 14-year-olds.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was in fourth grade playing with eighth graders, and I was like, bro, what the hell is this?
So
I don't even know the sport. These guys have been playing it since they were youngsters, and so
you know
that's
what's
why,
crazy?
like,
I have many players that I call like they're my they are basically called my juggernauts. And the reason why I call my juggernauts because I had them 3 years at seniors, sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade. Okay, so I had Pedro Flores,
oh, Pedro,
Seth Odom.
that kid.
You know Seth Odom. I don't know if you know him.
I know Ben Odom.
I had his brother, his younger brother,
Okay,
Seth, and then I had uh Von Pichette.
no, I
Nick
don't know that name.
Nick Von Pichette, big Asian dude, but he's an Air Force dude. But I had him, man. I had him the first time Nick Von Pichette came up. This is one of those stories. That fool stood next to the goalpost for like a week straight. He's sixth grade, dog. And at the time, I had Anthony Gonzalez, Willie Airbairn, uh, that whole group of boys were playing. And
Yeah,
oh, bro, we were hats every day. Every day hats were being laid. Like everybody was getting hats laid on them. And this cat was over there watching these fools like cack cack, cack cack. He was like, oh hell to the no.
hell no.
But we had to bring them up. And how we taught these boys is that, hey, we're only as strong as our weakest player. He's on our team. Whether he stays there or not, we got to do something to get him involved and get him motivated to stay like, hey, we got you, dog. We're your brothers. And I had, Christian A. Brown.
Man, I might have her on the show too, but that girl is a warrior. Good
Dude,
God.
okay, so most memorable thing that I remember about Christian A. Brown. She came out and I was like, who the hell is this? Like, shoulders were all boom, all broad, shoulders like this, walking down. I was like, damn. She came out and we were like, it looks like she can hold her own. And remember, she played with Glenn Taylor,
Right.
Sheldon Carpenter, Brian PM, Matt Zandonati.
Mhm.
There was what's his name? My boy, Chris Morales. She played with those linemen right there. And bro, she did her thing. There's an instance where we were in San Luis Obispo, and I forgot his name. He's the running back for San Luis, the Whitaker, or he was the black running back for San Luis Obispo back in the day. His name was like Whitaker or something.
Like that.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like it was like Whitaker. I don't want to say it's Whitaker, but it was like something like that. But he cracked back on Christian A. Now you talk about a pack of dogs. You talk about a pack of dogs that were just loose, and he did that to her. We had to call timeout. We had to bring the boys to the sideline. We were like 21. You're like, do you see that? Everybody's like, yeah, 21, 21. It was like 21, 21. And he was the running back. So we were like, we're not going for it on fourth. We're kicking it. We want to give him the ball back. I'm like, what? So we gave him the ball back and let defense eat. Anthony Gonzalez and all them cats were just coming, bro. Like we had Vala and all that. They're just bringing it. So Christian A. Brown, and after that game, there was a little girl that came up to her. Christian A. Brown, take her helmet off. She has a bow in her hair. And all the boys in San Luis are like, she's a girl. Yeah, that's a girl. And there's little girls and cheerleaders, like, they want to know who she was, ask for an autograph. I was like, that was pretty damn cool, you know, but I mean, this the way she is and this the way she carried herself. Like, she was one of the guys.
Oh,
Like,
for
and
sure.
and it's like,
For sure.
we're so, you know how scary that is as a coach? You know, how scary it is. And her mama's out there. Her mama's like, you better not let my daughter get her. Oh, God. Okay, I won't let your daughter get her. But she held her own.
Oh,
talking with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Sat there. It was so funny because everybody, all the boys, be all rugged, and all of a sudden, like, you see this girl with braids and a little bow in her hair, and I like, hey, I said, okay, her name was Christian A. off the field.
Yeah,
on
but
field,
it was Nay on the
Nay
field.
Nay Brown,
Nay.
and I told Nay Brown, but I told her, I said, Christian A. I said, you can't be having a bow in your hair when we on the sideline because we trying to look tough. And we were like, boom, mean face, boom, bling, hi. This fucking
She's a perfect example. Like, you know what? She may not look like much. Like, okay, she looks like easy, but hell no. That girl will cut your throat in the field.
Yeah. But, you know, but like how you said, like, we had to do the exponent thing. There's many players that I've had that were sixth graders that had to play in eighth grade. But now it's like how times have changed because, you know, parent didn't like it. Oh, we need to change this.
I will say this. You know, I did 2 years of YFL. I mean, I was there. So, but like for me personally, I had to step away and grow before I could step back on to a football field.
I wanted you eighth grade.
I know. So I remember I talked to Coach G about it, and I just felt I will say, looking back on it, I should have did it. But I don't know, I guess I was just involved in basketball too much. But I didn't plan to play again after once I stepped away. I was like, you know, maybe football ain't for me. And you know, I thank Coach Paul Tyrone is to this day because you know, first week of high school, I'm in his class and we doing the fire drill, and I walked onto that Lompoc football field and I was like, yo, this would be dope playing on this field. I done heard a lot of stuff about this field, and you know, I'd already missed the summer, and Coach T was like, you know, today after school, come out for practice, and you know, I did, and man, that was one of the best decisions I ever made.
So even what you just brought up, like the field, you know, I grew up in this town. Friday nights was something amazing here back in the day.
Yeah.
Just imagine every Friday night was like your big game, like big game against Cabrillo, but it was like that against any other team.
Yeah.
That stadium was packed.
Yeah.
Visitor side was packed.
I talked to everybody who's played there, you know, because I didn't grow up in Lompoc. I came in late, so
yeah.
You know, realize, like, you know, when you play the youth football league, you're not thinking of college or the NFL. Your dream is to get to the high school and be on that field because, you know, that Lompoc is a straight football town.
And coming down to, I mean, bro, Jared DeGeorgia, Moose Mao, Napoleon Kaufman, Abe Alcivar. There's many people I could talk to. Mr. Jackson that went to Washington. Ray Herzell, Danny DeRoe, Mikey DeRoe, Brian, Peter Souza. There's just names, you know. There's Manuel Vargas that are just like names that I remember when I was a kid. Kids used to run down to the fence, so when the gate would open up, the boys would walk in. All the Lompoc players would walk in with the 3-stripe Lompoc on the side. And it was just like the atmosphere down there was just crazy. And then hearing the crowd, you know, you hear the crowd and you hear defense. And you hear all that just chanting, the crowd noise. And then the old school Lompocians in the crowd popping up, opening up their coffees with the schnapps in it, and it just fulfills the whole stadium. Like that's just Lompoc football to me. Oh, you know, and then you hear like even the Indian head. I don't even know about the Indian head, the mascot we had. there was a mascot we had, full on dress, had a big Indian head, big old Indian. The only problem, yeah, it had the nose and everything, but it was a dope, brave Indian head. That was our
Right.
mascot. She would come out. We had um chants. We had, crowd chants, yelling at the other crowd. We got the spirit. Yes, we do. We got the spirit. How about you? And we would yell it to the other crowd, and they would yell it back. That's how the games were Friday nights. And throughout times, it diminished, and that's the thing of mystique about Lompoc is that I've been asked many questions. How come Lompoc's so damn good at football? How come Lompoc's so good at sports generally, like youth sports? How come they're so damn? I said, because it's a level playing field out here when you play back in the, how it was.
Right.
Got along with everybody. You grew up with that person that you lined up with next to. You went to school with him. You ate lunch with him. He came over to your house. You barbecued with their parents. You had breakfast, lunch, whatever. Those are your best friends that you were playing with right there. And that's what it was about. It was serving it out on a Friday night. And it was just something about Lompoc, that mystique of Lompoc. When you come to this town that you play in a football game, you better be ready. And I tell these kids, I tell it today, like, if you're playing football and you look at your calendar and you see Lompoc, yeah, you're going to circle that damn game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't care if we go 0-12, that game right there, that's the game we're going to play.
I can't tell you how many opponents' locker we walked into and had their goals for the year in their locker room, and one of them was beat Lompoc.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And it's built like that through the youth program too.
And I mean, like I said, it was a different perspective for me because, like I said, I didn't grow up in Lompoc, so like I said,
you didn't know what's his hate.
Yeah, I came into this, I was not realizing, this was my first true taste of it. You could, like I said, I spent a lot of time overseas, so it ain't nothing like that over there. And yeah, just realizing that, because I remember my junior year, when we were up in LA playing Chaminade and stuff, I'm just thinking like, just a bunch of kids from a town ain't nobody over there has probably heard of against 5-star players. How does that happen?
We played my sophomore year. We played Sherman Oaks, Notre Dame at Sherman Oaks, okay? Mm-hmm. So mind you this, we came off a little charter bus. 30 players. That was it. 30 players from Lompoc. They came out, and being down there for the first team, never seen an LA team.
Right.
So I don't know how they did stuff. So we see this group come out, and it's their band. Mind you this, their band takes half of our visitor section at Houck Stadium. And I'm like, what the hell? That's what I said. And then here comes their specialty players, no pads on, just their game pants on. They just had their jerseys on. So I guess it was the receivers, kickoff, punt routine, those little guys, the specialty players. And then I'm like, all right, so those guys run back. Then all of a sudden, all the linemen came out. The linemen, they had 40 linemen.
Jesus.
And then altogether, they had something 76 players suited up on their team. And I'm like, what? They had so it was 2nd and 4. Whole new 8 will come in. We're still stuck out there with the 11. Our starter defense is what the hell? This and that. 3rd and 2, whole new set comes in. Jumbo package. What the hell? All tight ends, one running back. So we ended up going down there, but we lost I think it was 28-17. But just the fact that we went down there, beat up their running back. He was hurt for the next game. They got bounced. But it was just you figure we were just a small team. You're just a small little town. I mean, it's great going to these big, LA school teams.
Right.
And, I'm sure you experienced it just on our, we went to a couple places where I played that were messed up. We went to, what did we play? I think we went to it's just college. And the entrance was on one side on the visitor side only. We had to come down, big old ramp, and it was right next to the damn stadium. They're talking crap. Who the hell's Lompoc? Lompoc. That's what they said, Lompoc. What the hell's Lompoc? Bunch of hicks and did this and this and that. Well, Moore Park, that's what we played. We were at Moore Park College. We played Moore Park. So then Anthony Perkins, man, I had Anthony Perkins on the team. And that kid, I think at the end of the first half, he had 165 yards, two touchdowns, and that whole crowd was silent. We ended up winning that game like 42-6, I think. But, you know, as I sit here and I talk with you and we talk about what we were going to talk about with the youth and shit, like the programs and stuff, is that today, right now, there's great people set in board positions on each youth program. And I wish him the best. I know it's hard. I know how hard it is and how time consuming it is. And anybody that does a board position, you know, and it's tough, man. You know, you got to bring it to your house to bring, you know, I was a president of youth football, and to hear people's, you know, the problems and making decisions and, you know, going against other people's decision is like, it's nothing against you. It's nothing personal. I've always taken it as it was nothing personal, but it was always for the kids. Like, if we make a decision, is it benefiting just this group of kids, or is it going to benefit the league? You know, and that's how I felt. And the way I feel now is like, I did 15 years. It seems like I did like good time. Like, I actually did like 13 years, but I did 13 years without a kid in the program. I did board. I was a referee and I coached. Yeah, referee, I got paid for it, but that's something that I wanted to do. And that's something that I always did before coaching. But to be out there every day during football season, taking my time and this and that, my thing is that I didn't have a horse in this race. My time was there because I wanted to be there. I'm happy to be out there with the kids, you know, and I love that there's people that out there that they have the good head on their shoulders. They have the right idea of being out there to help. But you got to understand that your help shouldn't stop if you have a child in the program and you leave.
Right.
Like, you built something. Why don't you stay or grab somebody that's below you and tell them this is how it's supposed to be done?
Right.
Or teach them and stay there for a year or stay there for 2 years. Yeah, it's time consuming. It is. But I don't want to hear about the time consuming because I put in 15 years without having a kid in the program. I did it for every child out there. And I used to get this like, oh, you guys are doing it to benefit your team. You're doing to stack your team or whatever like that. And I'm like, am I getting the benefit? Because I'm an assistant coach. I've never seen in a headline, assistant coach wins Super Bowl.
Right.
And I tell them, like, I'm not benefiting.
But I hate that because I didn't give a damn if you stacked your team or not. I wanted to play. Oh, you the stack team? Let's get it. Like, you might beat us that day, but I tell you what, you gonna feel me that day.
There you go, and that's the mind frame that some people have to have. But it wasn't even stacking the team. We had one team. You need that player, really? If he's going to high school next year, yes. My feeling is this: why wouldn't you go into a program that's going to get you prepared for the next level?
Right.
Then, or stay into another program to where you're going to play against these kids, but you're not going to see them for 2 years. Because next year you're going to high school. Those kids are still going to be down in YFL playing, and then you'll see them like when you're a sophomore, maybe.
Right. But but just like, you know, how everybody's mentality has changed. You know, it was last year around Christmas time, I saw one of the basketball games for the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm watching this team lose by like 40. But I'm looking at these kids and I'm thinking, okay, you know, just based off the size alone, I'm thinking these maybe fourth, fifth, maybe fifth or sixth, something like that. And these are seventh and eighth graders. And I'm looking, I'm like, how are these kids that bad to be seventh or eighth graders? I'm like, you know,
because, okay, so what I've seen in basketball,
Well, be in
I need to
mind
get,
this, that
I need to
team,
get these two players.
I got to go to their practice, right?
Uh-huh.
I got to practice with these kids, and these kids are worried about like on defense, if there's a loose ball, be taking off down court, cherry pick, doing reverse layups or anything that looks flashy, and not folk don't know anything about fundamentals of the game. And I'm like, yo, if you guys are trying to play in high school, you won't survive. You guys are like you're seventh and eighth grade, but you got the skill set of somebody who's like third grade. And so,
And
like,
see, okay, see, if what's bad about that, bro, is that maybe those kids have played for 4 years, but on those 4 years, maybe there was a coach that only had these three players, and we're only going to worry about these three players running a high pick and roll, high screen. If he's not open, cut it to the cutter. You other two players stay on the left-hand side, draw those other two guys away from you. That's the way practice could be going.
there's
And,
that, but then I also see some of these parents teaching their kids all the wrong things. They're worried about the wrong things, and that's been the biggest change to me over the years is parents. Seeing all these parents, that'll come up to a coach. Why isn't my kid playing? Or why isn't my kid doing this? Or my kid's a lot better than this kid. And that's one thing I give credit to my dad. My dad didn't give a damn about parents. Like whatever he said, he was like, okay, we'll maybe take that into consideration. But one thing I love about my parents is, they always pressed on all of us. If you want to be good, you got to work. And I remember every Saturday morning, me and my pops and my brother before he went off to school, we'd go to the gym on Saturday morning. We get to work in, and we always play one-on-one. Even when I was a youngster, it was my dad would beat the hell out of me,
I've seen you drive by the high school and you guys are playing at the high school.
Yeah,
Right there, just doing a little working, doing a little
my
kickback.
brother, they it wasn't like, oh, he's a youngster, so we're going, no, hell no. This is my parents. I'll give you a couple examples of who my parents are. My first ever game of YFL, we playing at Lompoc. I forgot my helmet. I left my helmet in my dad's truck. Yes, and it wasn't until I got to the field, I was looking at my bag. I was like, what the hell is my helmet? My dad went back to get it, but my mom went up to my coach and said, I don't give a shit if you play him today. If you play him today because he forgot his helmet. That was my mom. I remember one time after a game in high school, it was like my sophomore year, I was playing JV. I had a bad game. My mom walked right up to my face after that game and was like, you suck. Let me tell you something. That shit hurt so bad, but that shit pissed me off to the point I was on the court that night. I was on the court that night. After games to where, like, if I had a bad game, my dad asked me that question, what have you done to get better? Besides the practice at, when you guys have scheduled practice times, are you out going to the gym, putting up extra shots, getting up extra weights? If you're not doing that, then why are you mad about you playing bad? You're not putting in the work to play good. You have to put in that work to play good. And that was the mentality that both my parents put on us from a young age. Like, we're not going to force you to do a damn thing. But now you see all these parents that are like, that are so coddling for their kid, that if they're not playing, it's the coach's fault, not their fault. Like when you see a lot of these parents, like Facebook videos or something, just going off on referees or, they're about to start fighting referees, just fighting other parents in the stands, and we're, just looking at the videos like, what's up with the kids? Like, we're here for the kids, but the parents are making it all about themselves.
And it's funny you say that because it's what it comes down to, what I see is it's a respect thing. Plain and simple. Like, you don't have respect for the game. Respect for the game goes through your coaches, the officials, any adult figure that has to do with the game. And like, oh, you suck, you stupid, all that stuff in there. And like, come on, ref, that's a foul. And I tell them, like, I really want, there's sometimes I turn around like, you define a foul for me. We take tests. Okay, so being an official, a high school official, isn't just like, oh, I'm going to a meeting,
Right.
and no, there's a fee you have to pay. Okay, whether what it is according to the high school, whatever it is, but it's a state mandated, for your fees, and then there's state certified hours you have to get in to be certified as an official just for that year, and it's every year you have to do it. And then you have to make sure you have insurance, because you know how them parents are. If little Johnny
Lord.
breaks their leg on a layup that had nothing to do with an official, and he may have called that foul, but guess who's going to be in that lawsuit? That official's name is going to be in a lawsuit because he was on the thing running the game. So we have to cover our butt. So we have insurance. And then whether you're living in Lompoc, San Ynez, Cambria, you have to go to Napomo for everybody has to go there if you're official. Get certified, do our meetings. Then you have to go to a clinic. Now, mind you, this is 2 months before basketball season even started. So while you guys are all, when the jump ball starts, and that's when you guys want to be officials, I've been an official already for 2 months, and I went through all this training and this and that. And, doing, like, it's a craft. It's a professional. We'll get off the coaching tip a little bit, but being an official, you gotta put some time into it yourself. It's yourself you got to put in time to. And being baseball, like everything that you do as official carries into each other. So being a baseball umpire, that coach, that's enough. I don't need to talk. That's enough. We're not doing that anymore. That's what I learned in basketball.
Right.
But what's great thing in basketball is I can stand on the court. No, we're not doing that. Not doing that. Foul on the hand. He's coach. No, we're not going to do that. So that's a lot of stuff. But my thing is, I get yelled at. I get all of this and that. I get this. You're effing this. You fat this and that. You this and that. But you know what? Voice your opinion, because you're going to look stupid. Because after all, someone sense that is going to talk to you like, hey, bro, yeah, he was traveling all day. But it's the thing that I don't want to get wrapped into the battle war with parents and this and that. But what sucks is like, you're not hurting me. You're not hurting the game. You're not hurting that coach. You're hurting your player. You're hurting your son, player, or whatever like that. And, I grew up with times where I've seen kids that have so much potential. Like they're dope. They're bad at. My son's not coming to practice anymore if you can't do anything right with this. Like, well, so what? You're gonna punish the team? You're gonna do this? Oh, my son missed. We have practice 4 times a week, and your son's only been to 1 practice, and you want to know how come he's not starting?
Right.
I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not gonna get into it, but I've seen it. I've seen parents take kids off the bench. We're going home. Forget this. We ain't gonna do this and that. Like, you really gonna take him? You ain't gonna play him? Like, he ain't been to practice the whole week. And then, like, I see it, and it sucks because, and I've had problems in different sports to where, how come, it's always, how come my son's not starting, or how come my son's not getting enough playing time, or my son was gypped this many plays, and he was supposed to be on this and he was supposed to be on that. Well, he was a starter on this. Like, I have had parents really like say he was a starter on kickoff team and he was a starter for the punt team. Now I'm like, oh, he was really watching. And like, but the thing is, you're watching on Saturdays. I've had parents come up and write letters and this and that, and then when it come down, we talk to the kid and like, tell your mom how many days a week of practice you've been here. I've only been here for 2 days. We practice every day. You've only been here. And the mom's sitting there like, what do you mean you only been here for 2 days? We drop you off every day. Where do you go? And like, there we go. Now that's a different issue.
Yep.
So, and like, I've had problems like that. And that's just because as what our coaching staff I was part of with Glenn Taylor, Virgil Cortez, Danny Davis, myself, Marcus Nix at the time, back in the day. A lot of those guys that I've coached with, it's like we all have to be on the same page. That's right. The best thing about having a coaching staff and coaching youth football. Is like, if you want to bring this dad along and he wants to be part of the package, cool. But you're doing shit our way. I can't have you trying to veer off other things because you're gonna go against us. We just cut you off. Like there's no problem. You can stay on set, and if you want to go, go. We don't need you. Like we're all volunteers here. But my whole thing is that you get parents like how you say your parents get all crazy and they want to talk about how my son's not this and my son's not that. And I tell them from day one, like how I tell the kids. And we have a meeting. I have a parent meeting. Once I have my team, we're having a parent meeting that week or even that Wednesday. Just to be on top of it. But usually it's that week on that Friday. And we tell them like on time is late. If you have trouble getting your kid here and being on time, then let us know. As we're talking to the parents, we're handing out papers that have our coaches' names on it, the numbers, the kids' rosters. We're doing all the, we're supposed to do right then and there. Call me. Let me know. We'll rearrange something. Call one of the kids. Rearrange something. Because and I know that if you show up at 5 o'clock, I know you ain't got your pads on. I know you ain't got your shoes on. You got to walk. Now you got to put your cleats on. Now we're already in stretching because at 5 o'clock we start.
Right.
We're going. Everybody's already lined up. 4:45 because what we do 4:45, you put your helmet in the line where you want to, how you are. Mm-hmm. Put your helmet where you want to, and you can go do whatever you want. But by 5 o'clock, you're back where that helmet is.
Yep.
So, and I keep the routine just like Lompoc High School. That's how we used to do it. Mondays, we're doing 6.5. You play with me, that's how we're going to do. We're conditioned. I was taught we're running 1,000 yards a day. You play with my team, you're running 1,000 yards a day. Like, that's crazy. Really? 6.5, that's 1,000 yards. A snake is 1,000 yards. 5 200s is 1,000 yards.
I never added those up.
I've done it. But you know what I'm saying? It's 1,000 yards, so it's 5 200s. Just think about it. 5 200s. It's fucking 1,000 yards. So, but the whole thing is though, I don't want you humped over like this in the fourth. I want you like this to where it's like it's 35-3 and we ain't gonna yet. We gonna keep and we gonna keep.
My dad. I definitely learned that. My 8th grade year in the boys club. That dude had us running every day. Because we had a player who wasn't buying in like that. My dad's that dude. Like, if we don't make it time, we back on the line. And we had this player who tried everything. Like we had Beatty Park practicing. You remember that blacktop? We had this kid dive over the line, try to beat the time, and cried like he was hurt. He's like, up, back on the line. We literally had 2-hour practices where we ran 2 hours. After a while, it got to the point where during the game, fourth quarter hits, and or when the game was over, we could go another round. And then my dad type of coach who would trap you. I remember we had this kid. This kid who was like one of the faster ones on the team, and one of the kids who wasn't as fast. And after one of our suicides, he turned to him and was like, "Hey man, I almost beat you that time." And my dad was like, "Okay, you're getting better." So he looked at the fast dude and he was like, "Man, you almost let him beat you?" And he was like, "Man, I could dust him." And he was like, "Oh, so that means you just weren't running that hard." Back on the line, I was like, "Damn." My dad was that type of dude. He back running another suicide. But I tell you what, when it came like late in the game, we was fresh. And that's when you really got to see it. And that's why everybody hated my dad as a coach, because my dad just ran you.
So same thing when we get on the line, time to run the last sprints at the end of the day. After your 6th sprint, on two, looking down the line already like this. I swear to God, if he jumps, I swear to God, I'm going to beat your ass in the locker room.
That'd be the funniest reactions, though, when somebody like falls.
Yeah.
Be mad. Like.
So my one, how you say, trick. So I had a whistle. I used to be like, all right, on the line, we paying attention. We're like, yeah, all right, on the whistle. On the whistle, here we go. Set, go. And motherfuckers take off running. I'm like, what y'all doing? They're like, what? I said, on the whistle. Hey, all of them sit there and look at me. They were like, it's fucking bullshit. Like this and that. So we had things also like, we had a thing called Disneyland. Okay, we have a run called Disneyland.
Man, I know I did it
So
once. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know it
so
sucked.
hey, they said, what the hell is Disneyland? I said, okay, Disneyland is a snake, but every line that you do is going to be a different thing.
Different thing. Yup.
Duck walk, bear crawl, wounded dog, backpedal, sprint. I want you to karaoke on this one. I want you to do every 3 yards, every 3 steps, touch the ground, touch. And like, what the hell? I said, well, you go to Disneyland, you just don't go on one ride, do you? I said, you go to Disneyland, you go on many rides. So we're going to have a lot of rides. And man, that's just stuff to do. But you understand, like, the reason why we did it is that, yeah, okay, some people think that we're being assholes or we're just brutally and something. Yeah, we could be in a pissed off mood sometimes. But you're building camaraderie and you're building character to where when we finish those runs, I said, look, we got 5 soldiers out there still pushing it. What are we going to do? Our leaders would put our helmets back on, go back out there.
Yeah.
And, hey, you got this. Let's go, buddy, and run with them. But see, that's stuff that, I'm going to tell you something. Here's a story. So when you buy into a coach, buy into a program, it's a beautiful thing, especially when you have parents that buy into it with you. I've had many parents that are just like, bro, take my kid. I trust you. Do whatever go ahead. You got him. Hey, good luck, son. Like, you're going to get they're going to wear you out. But I've had educators that I coach their sons, and they come and watch our practice. One of them was our team mom. So there's one practice, we're sitting there, and we're talking amongst coaches. Okay, so when you talk amongst coaches, there's coaches. It's coaches talking. There's a lot of this effing this stupid. This fucking kid don't want to do this, and I don't know what the problem is. Their attitude sucks today, coach. They're effing this, and they ain't effing this, and they're gonna get their asses handed to them, this and that. They don't do, and we're just talking, right? We look over our shoulder. There's our team mom standing right there, and we're like, oh shit. So like, the team mom's like, hey, that's football talk.
Right.
You guys talk what you guys got to do. Hey, whatever, this and that. I've had a kid that was a Cub Scout all of his life, didn't do anything, stayed in his house, built little twigs, toys, this and that, played 1 year with us. Okay. This kid, his nickname was the Boss. Call him Boss. He like 98 pounds wet. He like 4 foot, I think probably he played with G and all them. Same. We call him the Boss though. This kid gave 125% effort on every drill. Gave him a front of the line spot permanently.
Wow.
And they're like, everybody's like, well, he's a captain in the front. Parents are like, oh, he's a captain. Have you seen him work at practice? I don't give a damn how big he is. His heart is bigger than anybody else's on this team. His effort, his determination is bigger than anybody else's on this team. I haven't seen anybody that worked his ass off every day and come out and be like that. Now this kid's like a biker, big old mountain bike rider. You don't even see it at home. Goes to his friends. His mom was like, his kid, he came out of his shell. But there's little things that we learn as coaches of what.
So let me ask you this as a coach.
Okay.
Getting a kid to buy in when you feel like you have their best interest. So I'll give you an example. My family in basketball are shooters.
Oh, yeah.
They're the snipers. But me, and you remember when I was in the boys club, I'm the big one. So I like to play in the paint. Let me get the ball post up, back you down, bully ball type stuff. And the minute I get to high school, the basketball coach says, I need you to throw all that out the window and become like your brother. I want you to be the shooter. And that whole year, like, I shot more than I ever did growing up. But I was like, I don't want to be that. I like playing in the post. So why are you trying to take that away from me? So when you get a player that's like, like you're changing up what I've always done, how do you get them to buy in to that?
I have to tell the only way you get a player to buy into what you're doing is they have to see the bigger picture with you. You have to tell them that I know you're an outside. For instance, as you just said, you've been boxed down a paint. You're that elbow shooter. Cool. I want you to still be that elbow shooter, but when you have opportunity to hit that 3, I need you to pull and hit that 3. When you have to take that inside step, the 18-footer, hit that 18-footer. you have got to have that confidence to know that I can shoot at any time of that court. But it's just still that confidence into that player to know that, hey, this is the direction we're going. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. I had Tori Sims. Okay. They're like, oh, we're going to do nothing but option running and we're doing this and that. We're doing that. No, we're not. Hell no, we're not. We hand the ball off. We can still throw the ball. But if we have to, yeah, we can run with Tori. The only time Tori ran with us is on keepers, boot keep, or fake 25 dive, and he's keeping it around because we had a running game. Isaiah Jordan and who was our fullback then? We had I think it was Andres Guadarrama was our fullback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, Diallo, Loper.
Really?
Diallo. Hey,
oh,
man.
Wow.
Unfortunate things that happened with Diallo.
Yeah, I never got to know him before the accident.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. He played for me, and to this day, I ain't never said this on camera, so I'm gonna tell this on camera now. When we do our scout team, I was usually quarterback. Okay, on our scout team for youth football, and I used to just because I wanted to give them the best look of what they can look at and what can actually happen. And then, I went to tight end, and I think Virgil went to quarterback, something like that, and I caught a cross pattern. Diallo was playing linebacker, and he came and he cracked me across my chest. Bam, we both hit each other. Boom. I get him some. He feel like, bam, he fell backwards. But, man, he came across, man, I think he bruised my sternum or something. Yeah. I went home. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't, my chest was hurting. And I have no pads on. This kid has pads on. An 8th grader come at me. But that kid right there, man, he was a beast, an animal. I mean, it broke my heart when I found out that that accident happened in Easter. I don't know where I was at. And they called and told me that. And I was like, what the fuck? I was just like, it crushed me. Because I knew what he could, man. He's doing good. He's doing great himself right now. But,
yeah.
I much love to, Loper. But, he still calls me coach. Coach, you're the only coach I had, coach. And I tell him that, dude, you were a beast. I remember we played Tascadero. A youth football game, we played Tascadero. And there was a timeout.
Tascadero is no joke.
And look, hey, we were down 14 in the fourth quarter. And actually down 17. No, we were down 14 in the fourth quarter. And there was only 6 minutes left. And Tori, man, he was hitting them slant patterns to Elijah with long hair. He had long hair. Elijah Norman.
There we go.
Elijah Norman. So he used to we were hitting him with the slants, and we just kill him. And then Elijah always didn't want to have that contact. And on those slant patterns, you're going to have contact. Well, finally he caught this one slant pattern, was like, hey, I'm not going to take the contact anymore. And he caught it. He turned inside, and the free safety was the quarterback. And that fool just leveled him on a slant pattern. He just put his shoulder down, and, the free safety took it. He was done. But I remember it was a timeout. We were on the 4-yard line, and this was going to tie the game up. Pedro Flores, I don't know if there's this, ever met this guy named Jarvis. His name is Jarvis Ross. And
I know I've heard that name before.
Bro, he used to be Cedric Williams' nephew.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Jarvis Ross he was a big black kid that we had. Came from Mississippi. And him, Pedro were like this, bro. They were like this. And they were left side guard tackle. I called timeout. I went out there and I was like, all right, I got to get this, we're going to get this play. We're going to tie it up. And they just looked at me and they said, Coach, you're running behind us. Don't care what you're running behind us. And Diallo was like, we got this, coach. We already know what we're going to do. I was like, well, shit, what the hell I call timeout then for? So we went out there, called timeout. Man, them fools said, whoop, just opened up the sea. Jordan went in and that's when I first came in with that. We ran pistol motion, faked the pistol. Tori started to run a pistol. That's when I started to first do that. And we went in and we scored. Tori is one of the most natural players I've ever coached. One of the most natural players I've ever coached. I got a position at an athlete position. The most beastly person I've ever coached. that was an animal that I thought that it was like he's an everyday bring it was Ruben Cortez.
Ruben.
Ruben Cortez was built to be a football player.
Yeah. I mean, their whole family were football players, man.
But he's built.
Ruben was. I mean,
built differently.
I got him when he was a freshman, so I never got to really see his progression like that.
Well, he's built differently, and it was just enjoyment to play with him. But right now, there's this guy that we got to keep an eye out for, and he no longer playing in Lompoc, but he's playing in San Francisco, like Imperial Bay or something like that. And his name's Frank Ward.
Frank Ward.
He's like 6'3", and he's like probably 245 right now. But he played in Lompoc last year as a freshman, and I had him as an 8th grader, and this guy was a man-child. Like, he was freaking crazy. Like he's yelling at kids, "You're gonna have to double team me. You're gonna have to double team me," and it's that. But there's kids that I remember.
You bring up a good point with that, where you get a kid nowadays where talking like that, based on when you played youth sports, your 15 years of coaching, being a referee and stuff, to now what you see, because you have daughters that are in sports, correct?
Freshman.
Yeah. How have you seen the mentality of competition change? Because, man, I'm the type of dude, like in practice, let's go at it. But nowadays, competition has died.
It's not like that. Why? Because you have a team that's already stacked in the division, that's already built up and already has all the top players in the division. I play him this week, so what's the motivation? And I tell him, I said, you got to get after it. You got to stop him. You got to, we could stop him. That's the whole thing. It's like, that's the mentality that everybody gets like now. Because, and I understand what some coaches are saying. Like, how does that team get like 4 of the studs out of the whole draft?
But you know what? At that point, we can't control no more.
He can't. Exactly. That's what I told him. Sometimes, and like that's what everybody says about, I got a question for you. If you know the rules of a sport and you abide by all the rules of the sport and you draft the team accordingly by those rules, and then you get called a cheater, and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, how would your response be? It's because
if I did everything correct, I'd be like, you're just a hater.
So the mentality is, this is how I go. I need four core coaches with me, including myself.
Right.
That I need to lock down. Offense, offensive line, D-line, D coordinator. Those 4 I need to lock down. Okay. In football, you have 8 badges. I mean, you have 8 people that could be on the sideline. Right?
Right.
So you get 4 protected players, okay? So that means I can protect 4, right?
Yeah.
So that means,
isn't that like when you're up by a certain amount, you take them out, right?
Yeah. But the only way you can protect those 4 players, though, is if you have them coach or team mom join your staff. Okay? So how I see people get screwed bad is that you get all these coaches on your staff, but you already know who they are, and you're wasting your badges. Like I'm not saying you're wasting. I'm just saying, like, you could have picked up 2 other players and you could have had those coaches come in after the fact.
Right.
But now you're using them as badges, and because there's things called volunteers. You could be a volunteer and not be on the sideline. You could use those as volunteer badges, but now you wasted your 2, gave up 2 potential kids. And all it is, hey, who's your dad? Let me go talk to him. Who's your mom? Your mom, you think your mom want to help team mom? Cool. Put her on paper. Now you're on my team automatically. So when we draft, I have 8 kids that are on my team automatically. I ain't got to draft them. They're already on my team. Now think about this. Now you get a team that has 7 returners.
Right.
So you're sitting there with 15 players already. right? Off the back, you got 15 on your team. Now, you possibly grabbed the idea was to grab like 4 of the top players. So now you're going to be drafting, and you're like, all right, cool. Now I can really like, okay, figure out I need to really draft like 3 players or 4 players. I need to lock these 4 players down. And that's how it comes down to doing youth football. But people get mad because they're like, oh, you're swindling the system. Nah, man. It's just how you know how to do it.
Bro, I was that dude. I was a player. Like, I didn't give a damn about the draft. You know what? Whoever's on my team, I'm riding with you. And I remember 7th grade, because my first couple of years of youth basketball was on the base when I lived up there.
Okay.
And playing on base was just ugh. I mean, you remember because that one year when
that little tiny gym.
Yeah, well, no, we played at the youth center. But you remember when, that year when the base teams and the Boys and Girls Club teams mixed, and the base team just kept getting slaughtered by Lompoc kids, so that's why we moved to the Lompoc League, because the base league was just like, okay, I'm not getting better with these kids, I'm just killing them. But, 7th grade year, it was a Virgil's Cortez team that was like undefeated, just smashing everybody that year, and everybody was always afraid to play them. And man, that was the game. Like, yo, I'm ready for this. They I remember the season, like they beat us pretty soundly. I remember the playoff game when we got them, and that was when Glaze had asked my dad to help. So that game, my dad had helped us, and that's when you learn the power of belief. Because I mean, when you play a team that smacks you all year, you're going to play a game like, yeah, we're done. But they ended up beating us, but it took I forget how many. It took all 32 minutes to beat us. Like, but nowadays, that used to piss me off the most, going into a game when you hear a kid like, okay, yeah, we lost before we even go into the game, and I'm just like, bro, then you ain't cut out for this life.
And it's just like you gotta have the coaches to have that mind frame too. Every day that every time that we come out here, and I tell this to the kids, you got to have a mind frame to come out here to get better, that you want to get better. Every day we come out to get what? And I tell them, I say this all the time, and they say to get better. I say, so buy into that. If you're not out here every day to get better, then you're not really helping anybody out.
Right.
And I tell them, I said, baseball wise, I think that it's picking up. The sport is here. There's a lot of people in place that are heading the right way with the program and getting it back to where it needs to be. Mike Bennett, he's strong driving force behind that. And
Mike Bennett, I used to play for him.
Yeah, that's another hell of a guy. Like,
yeah,
you want to talk about a real guy like Mike Glaze, Mike Bennett, myself, and football wise. I'm sure there's probably soccer guys too, and I really don't keep touching on soccer wise, but I know there's a couple softball people that keep it real,
right?
And that's what you really need to have, is those people that can keep it real with you and not sugarcoat everything, because I call them real life coaches. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be like, do you want me to tell you the now way I feel about you, or
besides my dad, the coach that did it for me the most was Coach Sherman Vernon. I told my dad all the time, I'm like, man, once you've been yelled at by him, no coach can compare to him. I got yelled at so many times by Coach Sherman. I'm like, any other coach that tries to yell at me, it don't do nothing. Like,
does he yell? He yells at your soul, huh? He's yelling at your soul, man. Yeah, what's crazy is like it's funny you bring that up, because basketball for me is a fun sport to ref. Okay, I got to give it to the ballers, man. Basketball players be getting it to move with the ball, cross up, feet wide, shuffle, get in position, getting like, I know what this guy's going to do. I can see it because I've done this a long time.
Right,
that's a great thing about officiating for me. Like, okay, I played baseball, I played basketball, and I played football. I played it. Never really learned how to respect it. And from officiating, man, I respect basketball, the game of itself. It's a beautiful game.
Oh yeah.
If you get into it, you know how that people get set up and how this guy's shooting and where you've seen him, how he's been shooting and what they've been setting up the whole night, knowing that big man ain't gonna fucking last until the third quarter. And then once he breaks down, we just gonna drive on him because he's gonna do stupid fouls. And then once he's in foul trouble, he's out. They ain't got nobody else. And or you see a team that's driving all the time, then you see a team like, all right, they're driving all the time. Let's go to zone. Let's let these guys shoot us on shots. Let's beat us on shots because if you ain't got a perimeter shooters or anybody that can make a shot, you ain't gonna do it. Now, how many people? And you know how many people in boys club to like sophomore? How many of them can shoot?
None.
Exactly.
There was a few who like they got
that
lucky.
one few, but that one few people. Take your shot, man. You're gonna have to make 40 of those to beat us tonight. But it's just like I see basketball and I see you guys working this and that, and I like, man, it's a great thing, but I got to be on my game.
Right.
I got to be on my. I mean, Sherman Vernon would get on your ass.
Yes.
And what sucks about it was that he was so damn right about it. And like, you ain't even in a position to call that. You ain't in a position to call that. And that's not even.
Man, Sherman put the fear in people. I remember the AAU team, man. We did this layup drill. We had to make like 30 or 40 straight layups. Just run to the elbow, dive diagonally, make a layup. We had practices. We spent 2 hours on that drill. And it was like if you miss, you go back to 0. And if you miss like 3 or 4 times, you're on the line running. I ain't never seen so many kids so scared to shoot a layup. Like, and then it wasn't just the way he yelled at you. If he was mad at you, the way he looked at you.
That right there, and his eyes turned kind of red. And that cane, do. Oh yeah, I know about it all. And then the one that he used to do was the off the backboard. You're in line.
Yeah, and then run to the other side and do it again. Oh yeah. He has some tough drills. We run conditioning drill. You got yours to Disneyland. He called this the murder one. It was a complete suicide, then 3 up and backs. And so he'd be like, all right, get on the baseline. We got a murder one and then a suicide. So you could do a murder one, then jump right back into a suicide. A drill you call the change drill. It's a defensive drill. You got your hands up and you're either you're backpedaling, and if he says change, you're sprinting, then backpedal. And I tell you what, after a minute, when you put your hands up, your arms get so tired, man.
Well, the one that used to kill me is the one he used to have you guys go slow across.
Oh yeah,
across. And then stop and then go back the other way and go across. He says, "This ain't a race. This ain't a race." Oh, like, because I used to go and I see you guys back when he was there. I get there early and you guys were doing basketball practice or even warm-ups. And you guys are doing that and you guys are like, I'm like, oh, that has to hurt. I said, because okay, so doing basketball, like I said, I do a lot of tournaments. I get to do a lot of little things, and the best thing that I've ever been to, basketball wise, is like I take respect in doing like these games, like these adult league games sometimes, because there's some ballers out there, and listening, not ballers, but they ball up, but listening to like, man, you got back in the day I had Malik play, and then I had Marshall and all them old school guys. And then you hear them yelling and stuff like that, but I went with John Salters and we went to a Jam on It in Las Vegas. We did the showcase tournament 3 years ago. I tell you right now, that was the hardest games I've ever done. You talk about balling, man. These games were like it was about 118 to 106. Like it was like 94 to 78. Like games like that, and they're just go running 2-man, and we're doing 2-man basketball. And these kids, there's this one team from Utah. They're called either Silverado or Silverton High School, and the coach had these kids from 7th grade, and they were all seniors now. 6 of them.
That already sounds like a dangerous team.
They were just tall. Like, I think the tallest one was like 6'7". Everybody under that, there was nobody that was smaller than like 6'1". So, and they were all just like corn-fed white boys.
I know
And
what I mean.
they played against like Las Vegas. They were called like Las Vegas Heat, and they were like the AAU travel team from Las Vegas.
Okay.
And they had the number one Las Vegas player on that. He was like a sophomore or something like that, but they didn't play him. But they had like 4 other players. They didn't want to play him because they looked at that team and they were like, they're not going to play him. They're like, we're not playing this fool. This team came out
thinking it was an easy dub. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so they're not going to play him. This Utah team was living above the rim, bro. Like, they were just coming out of everywhere and just like doing things. And it was like the best game I ever did. And like me and John were like, after that game, body straight, drenched, all straight. I said, this game was dope. Like, this is the hypest game ever. But, back to, what we really talk about in this town. I want to, I know it's getting we getting to the end here, but just want to let you know that, on this trip here in Lompoc about this, youth programs and how they're running, it's a great, great city to run a program in. But we got to have the backing. We got to have the city to be more involved with all the programs here. And I think we're trying to do that. I feel that football is we get the end of the totem pole in youth football.
Right.
Like, we have a designated field for us to use, but there's only one field and only one team can really use it, or we have to split the fields. And, the practice facilities that we get to use are really not that great. And then we had to split time with adult softball and it's other uphill battles that we have to do. And it sucks because, the ones that are left out are the kids.
Right.
We have to be in practices early, so we have to move our whole practice because, softball's coming in. But we can't practice at JM Park anymore here because they say we're ruining the grass. We can't practice at Thompson Park anymore because they say that's only strictly for softball now. So we're only stuck down to only at Ryan Park, and we have, I get it's scarce right now. And like right now, I've been questioned about, what do you think about this pandemic, and you want football to start and this and that. I want all youth programs to start, but there's got to be a protocol on how we're going to start it. And that's what's bad is like not one program has set up a protocol to get the league started. Like, okay, say we want to start baseball. What are the protocols if COVID happens, or what are we supposed to do? Or because there's a lot of liability.
Yeah.
Imagine one kid gets, you had to keep them in groups and snap, but one kid gets COVID.
One catches it.
And well, who's liable? This is the day and age where everybody wants to sue everybody, and who's going to be held liable to that? That lawsuit can, end a program maybe. And that's the same thing that goes with football. Football, they're like, high school starting. High school starting. Well, high school has programs or parameters set up and different things set up. We just want to start. Like, that's
just one high school. I mean, you look at all these college, high school, youth programs that have been affected by COVID. And as we said before, the ones suffering are the kids, man. Like, I feel bad for all these college players and high school players that don't get to showcase their skills. College players that want to go to the NFL, high school players that trying to get that scholarship, and now all that is just died.
You had to rely on your junior year.
Literally.
Imagine that. You just had to rely on what you said. Okay, I'm gonna kill it when I'm a senior. But you weren't a senior. Your senior year's here, and you can't do anything about it. Like, now you have to rely on getting tape from your junior year when you're averaging 8
trying
points.
To explain to the coach, like, I put in a lot of work this summer, so I'm a lot better than what I'm showing in this tape. But
you can't
see it.
But what about even the kids that are transitioning? Like my daughter right now, she's transitioning to high school, and we didn't have an 8th grade graduation. We're transitioning into high school. She's never been into a high school before. Her high school is what you're seeing with me right now. This is her high school. This is her high school experience, and it's different now. It's like these student athletes, character is a big issue, a big thing for me.
Right.
Like, so a character of a person could get you somewhere too. So it's different to where I'm in high school, I'm sitting in the class, the teacher sees me working my ass off, putting my head down, putting the pencil to the paper, seeing me doing the notes, seeing me taking the time, working on assignments, asking me to be here. And, yeah, he did C work, or he has a C, or he has a C plus. I'll give him a B minus just because I know he was working that hard and he's trying to show the effort. I mean, you
That
don't
was
have that
me.
now. Well, you
That
don't
was
have
me.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that,
don't. You
that
don't
was the
have
same.
that now. You don't have
That
it. Whatever you turn in from the computer, it's like that's what I get.
yeah.
There is no
And then the
extra like,
teacher is
oh,
looking at okay, so he or she is this type of student when it may be, I struggled with this, I needed help, but you know, the you're only getting the end result rather than you never saw the process. And I was a student, 90% of the
yeah,
teachers I had relationships with them.
yeah, and it's just like it sucks because it's not there anymore. I mean, my daughter's a good student, but she does need that interaction to work. And she's an two-time honor roll. And this year she had math. Like we're in the straight algebra, trigonometry, and all this. And she's like, I lost a step somewhere. I don't know where I lost it. And like we'll get emails, she'll get diagrams. So it's not the same of just sitting there writing it down with her and going
Yeah,
over. And she doesn't get that. But now, and I told her, I said, baby girl, now it's a different world. It's like whatever you put into the computers, that's what you're gonna get in on your grade now.
literally. And it's tough.
And it's tough, especially I have a fourth grader. My son's 9 years old. I mean, he going through the same thing, and it's just like his attention span. Come on now, come on, man.
See,
Eh,
I feel lucky. I mean, I caught it. I got on my last semester of school is when pandemic hit. So we got kicked out. I think graduation was over computer and stuff. But I'm like, you know what? I hated it, but I couldn't do like a year of this because I'd have been like, you know what? Zoom would have been on. I'd have been playing 2K on my on my TV or something like that.
yeah, you see, I mean, it's just like crazy. It's like now I gotta like job wise, we gotta adjust.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
someone's got to stay home. Well, you got your parents. Yeah, my folks are in their 70s, bro, and like they don't know anything in technology. So it's just like hold up here, let me see. Let me grab my charger.
No, no, go ahead, man.
All right, so and it's just like I told it's just an adjustment for everybody. And like I said, but back to this, sports wise and everybody getting back to normalcy, it's going to take a while, especially for the youth program. I said the whole time that there should have been like a flag football program maybe set up. You know,
Yeah, something like that. Because I was gonna, but like before we got out of here, I was about to ask you that question. You being around football your whole life, being a football coach, your thoughts on nowadays. You get a lot of parents that are afraid to put their kids in contact football because of the damage of what it's doing to kids. Brain injuries, CTE, concussions, and all that stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, you know,
that was one of
I
the
was fortunate to play college football. And in one of the games, I got knocked out. I got knocked unconscious. Um, and it wasn't like it was like I just took a pounding and one hit just did it. And, even in high school, I had a lot of times after games like I just had headaches, just from constant, pounding and pounding and stuff like that. But I'm also the type of player that was like, you know what, when I signed up for this, I knew what I was getting myself into. So,
and
your thoughts on
along along that line, I was a president at the time where numbers were down. Numbers were going down steady just because of the concussion, CET, and all that was coming out. And uh, I I went to other 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 philosophies of reaching out to these parents. So first thing I did is that I didn't want to be around the bush. I wanted to tell your parents straight up that it's not how your kid's going to get hurt, it's when your kid's going to get hurt, because it's going to happen. Okay, I ain't going to be around the bush. Your kid's going to get dinged. You're not saying he's going to get hurt like, oh, he's hurting, but he is going to get dinged. It's going to happen. Now, understand that as coaches in this program and in this area, we're all certified. We have to be certified to be on that field. We take a 3.5-hour course, learning how to hit, to getting away from the old method of putting your head to the ball to where going to the backside and doing the old alligator twist now.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, see, I
So
remember.
head to the ball, head in front, drive them down, right?
Yeah, I remember why I felt before this game. I forget the name of the drill, but it's like high knees. You got three dudes in front of you, coach points, and you clang.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking? Yeah. And one of the times, dude came and I speared. I put my head down and I spearheaded it, and we connected, and I just felt this rush go all the way down my spine into my back,
Yep.
and I was done for the day, and didn't even know what the hell happened. I mean, lucky for me, I just got the wind knocked out of me, but something like
It's
that
just,
can
but
paralyze you for your life. Like,
yeah, and it's the things like I tell the parents, I said, we're gonna get your kid properly trained, and we're gonna teach them the right way, the Lompoc way, because we call it the Lompoc way of
right,
hitting and doing it right. Um, and buying in and understanding that you have to buy into us, like you have to trust us, and it's a tough thing to have another adult be in charge of your kid's safety,
right,
and especially playing football. And I just got to get over that hump to let them know that what we do prepared, what we got, we have at that time, top of the line equipment. We went to Zenith. I went with
okay,
the built-in pads. Okay, so we still use Zenith. We still use the Rydels. We have a couple of Vicus, that they've been using, but like you can never predict any injury in any sport. All you can do is prepare and be safe about it. And that's what I had to do. And that was my main run for the parents to understand that. And a lot of things that we did that year to reach our numbers was to reach out to our Latino community. And how we did that is when you go to school, we were in elementary schools, we were giving out, flyers for football in English. So we said, put on the other side, we'll just flip it and put Spanish on the other side. Okay, we break it down, wrote it in Spanish. Man, we had like 16 families show up. And it's crazy because family is a Spanish-speaking family, but little Johnny knows all the other football kids because they go to school with him. And he's like,
right,
oh, what's up? They're like, oh, you finally signed up. And from that point, we went from, I think that year that I'm talking about, we had everybody around us had like an average of 170 kids sign up, 180 kids, except for like Paso and Santa Maria. They're just abundant amount of kids to sign up.
right.
Our little place, we had 213 kids sign up.
Wow.
I mean, that's cheerleaders and football, but 213 participants that said that their numbers down because of concussion, everybody's scared. But no, my numbers went up. And that's something I'm proud about because it's hard.
For sure.
I know how kids and parents, they see what's on TV and it's tough, but it's just all about letting them know that you have the information, you're trained, you're the league that you're in, it cares about your kids. Sometimes you feel that it may be the coach that you feel like doesn't care about your kid, but and it's been out there. I've seen, I've been accused of it. I've been saying that, I only care about a certain amount of kids, which is not true. And it's tough. Doing sports, I've made friends. I've lost some friends, and if I've lost friends, over decisions I made, I do apologize for those, but it's something that I made because of a decision that I was made for betterment of the league. There's a lot of things that people didn't agree with. I've been accused of a lot of stuff, but it comes with the title.
Yeah, that's how I take it. What football has taught me about life, and the things, the donks and bruises of the injury, that just made me tougher. Like, granted, like I said, there's some kids who get seriously hurt, and you try to avoid that, and it's really unfortunate, and you hate to see it happen. But I mean, me personally, I will 10 out of 10 risk getting really hurt for the lessons that I learned playing football and all youth sports.
Isn't it weird that, I know you've been asked this before, and they ask, like, I don't know, like, why would you want to risk going out there for injury, or risk maybe getting an injury? And sometimes I sit there and I think about it, and I weigh out the risk and what's the reward, and I think about, what, I know that maybe he may get bumps and bruises, and maybe he may feel that I'm an asshole right now, but maybe my payment won't come until 5 years from now.
Maybe.
And I've had players say, "Coach, your practices, you guys ran us and you guys beat the hell out of us at practice, but it was the easiest in high school, easiest practices we've ever had."
Honestly, that is true. High school practices were easy compared to youth ones, man.
And
But it's just, the harder the practice is going through those as a team, that's going through the war, it's going through the battles, that got us ready to go to battle together rather than as individuals. And that's why I will gladly risk those injuries. I think what needs to change is the mentality of when you get hurt, keep it to yourself, and we play hurt, That's just how it
yeah,
was growing up. Like when you caught an injury, it's like, all right, let's tape it up, let's wrap it up, and we back out on the field. Let's go.
so you want to talk about old school mentality? There's this coach that Mr. Razzo, and he used to say, if you're hurt, you can still play. If you're injured, you can't. So
Right.
what's wrong with you? Are you hurt or are you injured? And you're like, "Oh, get your ass up there and let's
All
go."
right, back on the field. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So, and it's just like I said, I think like we're losing some coaches in some places because of how sometimes things can be portrayed and pushed to change, and it's not right because we know that's not the way it's supposed to be going. And some coaches are not going to fight that fight anymore, and they just leave.
Right.
I feel that there's a lot of like right now, Cabrillo, their program, their youth program is kind of struggling. And I told them, I said, it's going to have to start from the ground up. You're going to have to start pounding. I mean, and they got hit with some, when they got rid of, I think when I hate to talk about them, but everything started to go down when they lost Dave Best. Dave Best was always there, always running that program and getting to where it needed to be to succeed or be successful for the year. And they got rid of him, and they told him to step away and something like that. And other people want to go direction. And the person they got rid of. This is where I say this daddy ball comes into effect, because the guy that came in was only there for 2 years and then he left. So you didn't like it the way it was being ran. So you wanted to run it your way for 2 years and then just leave. And it happens a lot that's what kills youth programs.
Right.
Like I said, been there for 15 years. Virgil Cortez, senior's been there for like 17 years. Glenn Taylor's been there for like 16 years. Danny Davis been there for like 15 years. Raul Yanez, 9 years. I think something like that. Maybe even 10. I'm not sure. John Hernandez, Boogie. Everyone knows Boogie. Boogie Hernandez. He's been, coaching for years. And it's just like coaches like that, they get so tired. Sometimes they say they get manipulated or screwed over, or the board doesn't want this, or like you get, I've seen it. Don't take your own personal grudges out and hold it against somebody when it has to do just against that person. It has nothing to do with the team nor the kids. You just don't want to do it because of him. That's not the way it's supposed to go. And it's a lot of that sometimes goes down, and it sucks. I'm not saying I'm perfect on doing things like that, but there's times where, I've sat there and I thought about decisions of like, do I really want to weigh it out with this guy and having him on the team and with that headache, or do I just take this guy? And it's always like that. It's called politics. Yeah, politics happen a lot, bro.
For sure.
And it's just the belly of the beast. But I do have to say this, that my legacy that I coach, what I want to leave is that I was there for the kids. I'm here for the kids. I'm not there for my own personal self-gratification. I give props, I give credits to other coaches, all my coaches that I coach with, putting the time in and being with me. And like to this day, I talk to this guy that his name's Cobbins, and he lives across east, back east, and his son's going to school in the back east, and he played with me one year when I had Sheldon Canley and that little football team I had. It was pretty dope, and I talked to him, and he was like, I said, hey, he said, thanks for coming up. I met him on like Brave Camp, walking up to him, said, that's your son. My name's Phil. I'm coaching this team. Want to know if you like to coach. He ended up coaching me, and we still friends to this day. I have a guy that Jeremy Wooten. His name, we call him Coach Woo, and he is coaching at Prairie Rock or something like that. Someplace in I think in Arkansas, something like that. I can't be 100%, but he's out there and he's coaching like an 8-man football team, but he's still doing. I still shoot him out. We won a Super Bowl together as and it's just like little community like this that keeps people tied together. And I wouldn't change who I am. I love who I am. I love coaching, officiating, doing interviews with you like this. I mean, it's a great thing, but when it all comes down to it, I only do it because I'm there for the community.
Yes, sir.
I don't do it I don't want to do this because I'm expecting my name in the paper. I'm expecting a key from the mayor or anything like that. I just want to make sure that these programs survive and continue on for my kids to coach, your kids to coach or play in or something like that. And it's an honor for me to coach kids that went to Lompoc or wearing that blue and white. It's you know how you played high school football, man. Lompoc, you wear that blue and white. It's a damn.
Yeah, it's different.
It's a different feeling. Yeah, I'm not saying like we the shit, this and that, but I bet you wear a Lompoc jersey down in Santa Barbara. We got respect.
Sure.
It's just the way it is, and
it's just moments you savor. I remember that playoff game we talked about earlier. Just being like in a dogfight, and late in the fourth quarter, I was in the huddle while it was on the sideline just getting the play. I just looked up, just the atmosphere. Just you just take it all in. That I'm last year I was one of the guys that didn't play, but now I'm on the field in crunch time, and I love it. Just
isn't it weird? Like being on that grass,
yeah,
stepping on that grass, and there's a natural grass field to look around and be like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, just look around like I'm in. Like, we're it's the playoffs. We lose, we out, and it's 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I'm on the field. And
yeah,
that's the type of moments like I just soaked that in.
Yeah, it's just I know before we head out, but I like to say thank you for this time. Coming out. Sitting there, you take some time to talk to me about this.
No, I appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate. There's a lot of stuff that I say thank you to, like, because I say, thank you to Dave McNamee, Gary Church, Bob Froelich, Bobby Chironis. There's a lot of guys out here that put the community first. Buddy Sims, Joe Chironis. There's a lot of guys that I say that are just that put their community first. Miss Lynn Highland for LGSA, Nick Jensen for his work, Casey Brooks. These guys are educators. Some are take hours and hours of time out of their life to make sure the programs in our community survive. And you have people like right now, you have like the Schaefers that are doing their job of parts for the community. You have my sister still doing her thing. Miss Shanta Whitaker, Jamel and Jamal's mom, and she does her thing too. She was always involved, and she's one of those ones that was always there and yelling and being one of those strong mothers. And it was awesome. I think it's great. Me and her had our problems, but I think my hat's off to her because she raised 2 great boys, and it's the way things work in this town is like, you got to know everybody in this town.
Right.
So, I mean, hats off to your dad. Dad's one of the, great mentors in this town with other kids. Mike Glaze, I give props to him all the time. Bennett for him doing stuff in baseball. got me into baseball and umpiring. His dad, RIP to Big Tim, and I give a lot of thanks to that. But most of all, I did all this because I follow my pops' footsteps. I give pops all the praises I can to my dad, because he's the one that showed me the way to never judge a book by a cover. And you never know what happens when you open up that book to see what their story is.
True.
So it's always good to be here for kids, be here for to mentor these kids. Hopefully I do something right to them, leave them on a good path. And I just thank all those people that I named, and I think I salute them because they do hard work in this community, and I think they're awesome. Even they're the ones that are not here. There's a couple ones that I forgot to name, but like Tanya Baird, she's a beast. She's one of the ones that could keep your program on the right level. I mean, it's crazy how much time she put in for Lompoc. Allison Black, she's there all the time. She's put her time and hours in and effort, and a lot of these people need recognition for what their time and what they did for the community, because sometimes they get overlooked because they always think of the bad stuff that they did, or people accuse them of other stuff, but they need to recognition of putting the time in, and I think I say thank you to them. I think that everybody that puts their time in for any youth community volunteer work is going above and beyond. So that's all I have to say about that.
Oh man, OG, I appreciate you coming on and just having a great conversation about all this.
It was great, man. It was awesome.
Yes, sir. I'm glad we were finally able to come together and get it done, man.
I appreciate it, man. So signing off to you. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Yes, sir. You too.
Go to Notre Dame. You gotta go Irish. You gotta get Clemson tonight. So
hey man,
thanks, man.
That's your best shot to get them. So
I know, huh? Let's get them though. Thank you very much. Shout out to Lompoc, all the youth community, all the youth sports.
Sir.
Hey, do your thing, man. I appreciate everything you do. Keep doing your thing. I see you out there, getting your grind on, living your life, man.
Always. Right, man. I appreciate you, OG.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
You too, man.